Good morning and welcome. I'm Representative Lindsey Burke of Lexington, and I'm here today to reintroduce two important bills, House Bills 418 and 419, which I call the North Star Bill and the Shield Bill. Since the Dobbs decision in 2022, American women have effectively been stripped of control of their bodies and reproductive health. States like Kentucky had been laying the groundwork to ensure that if such a decision came from the Supreme Court, our state would be ready to fully eliminate access to abortion care through a trigger ban. 13 states had a trigger ban at the time of the Dobbs decision. A few enacted bans shortly thereafter. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, Kentucky's trigger ban is one of the most restrictive in the country. Kentucky's ban limits doctors to provide abortion care only when the life and health of the mother is at stake, and it provides criminal and professional penalties for doctors who run afoul of this narrowly tailored loophole. Doctors tell me and others that the penalties for them are so high that they fear providing care even when it's clear a woman is in crisis and needs an immediate intervention to protect her life or health. They often delay care, consulting with lawyers rather than other doctors, putting women's lives at risk in order to avoid punishment. That's not how they want to practice medicine, and that's not what Kentucky deserves. The effect of this ban is playing out in increasingly alarming ways. We're seeing women have to travel further and further to access OBGYN care as the number of OBGYNs across the state decreases. Fewer medical students choose Kentucky for OBGYN training, residency, and practice. Young women are leaving Kentucky at an increasing rate to live in other states where they have more autonomy, neighboring states like Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and others where the laws are not as restrictive as they are in Kentucky. And while we're so fortunate that no Kentucky woman has died as a result of sepsis resulting from a pregnancy crisis yet, doctors agree that we're going to see this sort of tragedy in Kentucky if we do not take steps to rectify our overly restrictive ban. Other lawmakers have introduced bills to create exceptions for rape, incest, and fatal fetal anomalies. The problem that doctors see with creating exceptions is that the criminal and professional penalties that they fear are still in place. And just as they are afraid to utilize the life of the mother exception, they'll be reticent to use any newly expanded exceptions. When doctors are at risk of being charged with a felony and losing their ability to practice medicine as the result of providing appropriate patient care, they'll hesitate when they know that a medically needed intervention is appropriate, and they shouldn't hesitate in that moment. We and they deserve better than an exceptions bill. That's why today I'm proud to reintroduce House Bill 419, the North Star Bill, and 418, the Shield Bill. House Bill 419 will undo the tangled assortment of bans and penalties enacted by this General Assembly in favor of allowing women and doctors to make reproductive health care decisions privately, outside the control of the state. It is, in essence, a rollback to the state of the law under Roe, where there's not a criminal or professional penalty for doctors who provide access to abortive care, or for the patients who choose to access abortive care for whatever reason before viability. House Bill 418, the Shield Bill, guarantees a woman privacy protection, shoring up her protections under HIPAA so that she need not fear that some overzealous government official, like our former Attorney General, would attempt to access her out of state medical records in order to punish her for seeking the care she needs in a place where it's legal. The reasons women seek abortion care are widely varying, and no reason is more legitimate than any other. Whether it's to protect her mental health, to end the suffering of an unborn child with fatal fetal anomalies, to prevent a child from being born into a toxic environment that includes rape and incest, or for any other reason, we ought to trust and believe women that they have talked with their doctors, with their families, and with their support groups and decided the best course of action for them and their loved ones. As a legislator, a mother, and a pregnant person. I'm proud to introduce these bills that convey my beliefs. I'm proud to stand for pregnant people in Kentucky and to say, I trust you. I support you in whatever choice you need to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Burke. Good morning. My name is Tamara Weeder, and I'm the Kentucky State Director for Planned Parenthood Alliance Advocates. We are here today because Kentuckians are being denied basic health care, because extremist politicians have forced a total ban on this state, without exemptions for rape and incest, while ignoring the very real maternal health crisis happening right in front of them. Let's be clear. The abortion ban was designed to cause harm. It was planned, and now we are seeing the devastating consequences unfold in real time. Since Roe fell, more than 65,000 rape-related pregnancies have occurred in states with abortion bans, and 3,000 of them right here in Kentucky. Let that sink in. Kentucky now has the third highest rate of rape-related pregnancies in the country among states that refuse to allow survivors the option of abortion care. Surviving sexual violence is already a nightmare. Forcing someone to remain pregnant after is a cruelty beyond measure. But the harm doesn't stop there. Every single day, Kentuckians with pregnancy complications are forced to the brink because doctors fear prosecution. People experiencing miscarriage complications are being denied care. And because of this ban, Kentuckians are left with only two options: carry a dangerous pregnancy to term, or scrape together the money to travel out of state if they can. They're hearing the stories of people like Dr. Jessica Adkins Murphy in Lexington, Genevieve Postlethwaite in Paducah, Amy English in Louisville, or even our own Representative Burke. People who needed care and faced unimaginable barriers. They were people who were forced to wait, for some of them, until they were at death's door. Some of them were people whose pregnancies were doomed from the start, but were denied the right to say goodbye on their own terms. And their stories should move us to action, because no one should suffer like this. And while Kentucky lawmakers refuse to act, the new administration in Washington is actively working to erase medically accurate information and roll back reproductive and gender affirming care nationwide. Just this week, a federal judge ordered that federal health agencies restore websites and data sets that were abruptly pulled down regarding HIV testing and prevention for medication and guidance on contraceptives. Research funding for women's health is being canceled. Efforts to redefine embryos as people are being pushed forward in executive orders that deny the existence of trans people and their right to care. The anti-abortion movement has never been about health or safety. It has always been about control. This is why Representative Burke's North Star Bill and Shield Bill are essential. These bills protect patients and providers. They restore agency to those who need care and put healthcare decisions back where they belong, with medical experts, not politicians. We have heard Kentuckians loud and clear. They rejected the abortion ban at the ballot box when they voted no on Amendment 2. They do not support this suffering. To the brave Kentuckians being forced into pregnancy, you are not alone. We are here for you. We will never stop fighting for you. We implore the Kentucky General Assembly to reverse course and repeal legislation harming the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamari. I'll now open for questions.
You mentioned you reintroduced these bills, obviously with the majority being Republican, maybe being against these bills. Any hopes to, what will you do differently this time versus last time to see these bills get across the line?
Well, I am leaning into the Shield bill this session. I understand that for many Republicans, a full reversal to the former state of the law is impossible. But perhaps the way we can address that is by agreeing that no woman should be criminalized for doing something that's legal in another state. So if she wishes to travel to Ohio or Illinois or another place where she can access care, she shouldn't be fearful when she comes home that she's going to be punished for doing what was best for herself and her family.
Representative, I just have, sorry, it seems like the legislature, it's not just on party line. Sort of, a lot of people are on different pages. We know that Democrats have sponsored exceptions bills. We also have seen Republicans sponsor bills that would make giving medication abortion a crime. So everyone sort of has different priorities here. Do you believe that at some point, do folks have to just get on the same page as far as what is the fight? What does it look like?
Well, I think that's a great question. And in order to actually make the substantive changes that are needed, we are going to have to get on the same page. I can't get behind exceptions because what that does is creates the illusion of help for women who are in crisis when in fact no help will be found. And it will also stifle the long-term conversation. So what we're going to do if we pass an exceptions bill is put some false hope into the narrative so that no real change can be accomplished for decades. I can't get behind that, and I won't get behind that. So I'll continue filing the North Star bill so that we can move in that direction where women actually have choices. Any other questions?
What's the ultimate message you want to send by filing these bills? As you said, you gave it a shot last year. If it doesn't go through this year, I imagine you'll give it a shot again. What's the message you hope to send?
The message is telling people I see you. Every year when I file these bills, I get a flurry of emails, and I worried at first that it was going to include a lot of hate mail. But the truth is, I haven't received a single piece of hate mail in the 3 years I filed these bills. What I receive is contacts from men and women across the state who pour their hearts out to me. And they tell me, you understand what I've been through. And it's so amazing to hear someone in a position of power say that they see me, they understand my heartache, and they want to do something for me that would really matter. So I will continue filing these bills for those people, the people who need to hear that they matter, that they're understood, and that someone up here is willing to do the hard things in order to protect them from ever going through something like that again.
Representative, do you believe who's in the White House makes it more difficult? You see it as a pressure thing as far as some of the Republican leadership to see a middle ground? Or
I'm sure that that's accurate. And frankly, it's scary. What was the talking point for the longest time among Republicans is that this decision should be returned to the states, and that the reversal in Dobbs left it to the states to decide what's appropriate in terms of women's health care and reproductive care. But now we're seeing Republicans in Washington file federal abortion bans. So what that tells me is that the first talking point was illegitimate, and it's always been about controlling women and forcing them to do the things that men want them to do. We can't live in that world. We won't live in that world. We're going to fight against it with everything we have.
Are you concerned by the New York doctor that was charged in, I forgot which state, but one of the states that has an abortion bill? Are you nervous about that as an escalation of what's happening?
It absolutely is an escalation, and it justifies the fears that Kentucky doctors have of what could happen to them if they provide medically appropriate and necessary care. We need to ensure that practitioners are able to practice medicine without fear of criminalization or losing their license. What Kentucky has done by putting these things into our law is effectively ensure that no doctor ever feels safe taking care of a woman who is in crisis.